They didn't just try to hurt you. They tried to erase you completely. But something stepped in and stopped them. There's a reason you're still here. A reason you survived what should have broken you. You felt it, didn't you? That strange tension in the air. The quiet war that no one else could see. While you were trying to move forward, to heal, to rebuild, someone behind the scenes was working against you with a level of intention that wasn't normal. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't random misfortune. This was targeted, and deep down, your spirit knew it. You couldn't always explain it, but you felt watched, studied, even set up. Doors that should have opened suddenly slammed shut. People you trusted shifted without warning. Lies appeared out of nowhere, twisting your name, your character, your purpose. It was as if someone was trying to rewrite your entire story, to make you look like the villain in a narrative you didn't even create. But here's what they didn't understand. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to be easy to destroy. There is something on your life, something protected, something chosen, something divinely assigned. And when they came for you, they weren't just attacking a person. They were stepping into a spiritual boundary they had no authority to cross. That's why everything started to backfire. You may not have seen it at first. In fact, it may have looked like they were winning. It may have felt like they had control, like they were getting away with it. But behind the scenes, something else was happening, something much bigger than what your eyes could see. Because when someone touches what God has set apart, consequences don't come quietly. And now, those consequences are catching up. The same people who tried to destroy your peace are now losing theirs. The same ones who plotted in secret are now being exposed in ways they never expected. Situations are shifting. Truth is rising. And what they thought would stay hidden is starting to come into the light. You didn't have to fight the way they fought. You didn't have to become who they were. While they were operating in deception, you were being covered in something they couldn't touch. Even in your lowest moments, when you felt isolated, confused, and drained, you were still being protected. That's why you're watching this right now. This is not just a message, this is confirmation. Because what they did wasn't small, it wasn't harmless, and it didn't go unnoticed. There are forces at work right now, real consequences unfolding, and it's not by accident that things are turning the way they are. What's happening isn't just karma, it's alignment, it's justice moving into place, it's truth correcting what was manipulated. And the part that's going to shake you the most, they never thought you would find out. They thought you would stay confused. They thought you would doubt yourself, question your intuition, and walk away quietly. But something inside you refused to let that happen. Even when you didn't have proof, you had a knowing, a deep, unshakable awareness that something wasn't right. That awareness was never wrong. Now, things are shifting in a way that can't be ignored anymore. Pieces are coming together. Hidden connections are being revealed. And the very system they used to try and break you is now turning against them. You didn't lose. You were being positioned. Because when the truth fully comes out, it's not just going to clear your name. It's going to expose everything they tried to bury. And what's about to be revealed next is something they prayed you would never discover. They smiled in your face, but behind your back, they were carefully planning your downfall. That's the part that hurt the most, wasn't it? Not the struggle, not the confusion, but the betrayal. Because these weren't strangers. These were people you opened your heart to. People who knew your story, your pain, your dreams. They had access to parts of you that the world never saw, and instead of protecting it, they used it. They studied you. They watched how you moved, how you trusted, how you forgave. They learned your patterns, your strengths, even your weaknesses, and slowly, quietly, they began to position themselves against you. Not in obvious ways. No, that would have been too easy to detect. This was subtle, strategic, intentional. Little comments, here and there. Small seeds of doubt, planted in conversations. Twisting your words when you weren't around. Creating misunderstandings that made others question you. And, all the while, they kept showing you that same familiar face. Smiling, supportive, pretending to be on your side. But your spirit felt the shift. You tried to ignore it at first. You told yourself, maybe you were overthinking. Maybe you were just tired. Maybe it wasn't that deep, because the truth was uncomfortable. The idea that someone close to you could be working against you, that kind of realization shakes something deep inside. But what you felt was real. This wasn't jealousy in its simplest form. This was something deeper. They saw something on your life, something they couldn't understand, something they couldn't control. And instead of respecting it, they tried to interfere with it. They wanted to interrupt your path, delay your progress, and if possible, stop you completely. And they didn't act alone. There were conversations you never heard, decisions made without your knowledge, agreements formed in silence, people aligning behind the scenes, all connected by one intention: to see you fall, to see you confused, to see you question your worth, your calling, your identity. That's why the attacks felt so layered. It wasn't just one situation. It was multiple things hitting you at once. Emotional pressure, mental exhaustion, spiritual heaviness. You were fighting battles on levels you couldn't even fully explain. And while you were trying to stay grounded, they were escalating, because they thought, if they pushed hard enough, you would break. But something didn't go according to their plan. You didn't collapse the way they expected. You didn't lose yourself completely. Even in your lowest moments, when you were drained, when you felt alone, when nothing made sense, there was still something inside you that refused to shut down. That wasn't random. That was protection. Because the attack against you wasn't just personal, it was spiritual. And when something is assigned to disrupt your purpose, it often comes disguised as people you trust the most. That's how it gains access. That's how it gets close enough to try and do real damage. But what they underestimated was what was covering you. Every lie they told, every plan they made, every attempt to shift your reality, it was all being seen. Nothing slipped through unnoticed. Even when you felt like no one understood, like no one was defending you, there was something higher tracking every move. And now, things are turning. The same manipulation they used is starting to unravel. The same confusion they created is being cleared. And those hidden alliances, they're not as hidden anymore. Cracks are forming, truth is leaking through, and the weight of what they did is beginning to show. Because betrayal like that doesn't just disappear, it leaves a mark, not just on you, but on them too. And as everything continues to unfold, one thing is becoming very clear. What they did in the dark didn't stay there. God was watching everything. In silence, in stillness, recording what no one else could see. While they were moving in secrecy. While they thought they were getting away with every lie, every setup, every hidden move, they misunderstood one thing: silence does not mean absence. Just because judgment didn't come immediately didn't mean it wasn't coming at all. You have to understand this. Nothing escapes divine awareness. Every whisper behind your back, every false story told about you, every calculated attempt to break your spirit, it was all seen, not partially, not vaguely, completely, down to the intention behind it. Down to the moments they thought no one was paying attention. And that's what changes everything. Because when people operate in darkness, they rely on one belief: that what they do will stay hidden, that they can manipulate, deceive, and distort without ever being exposed. They believe that if they're careful enough, quiet enough, strategic enough, they can control the outcome, but they forgot who truly controls outcomes. You may have felt overlooked during that time. You may have wondered why things were allowed to happen the way they did, why the truth didn't come out sooner, why the people responsible seemed untouched, unbothered, even comfortable. But what you didn't see was timing being set, because divine justice doesn't rush. It waits until everything is in place, until every action has fully unfolded, until every hidden detail is ready to be revealed in a way that cannot be denied, ignored, or twisted. And once that moment arrives, it doesn't come quietly, it comes with clarity. That's where you are now. Things that once felt confusing are starting to make sense. Situations that didn't add up are becoming clear. You're beginning to see connections you couldn't see before. Words are lining up with actions. Patterns are revealing intent. And suddenly the truth isn't hidden anymore. It's rising. The same people who carefully crafted their image, who made themselves look innocent, trustworthy, even supportive, their masks are slipping. Not because you exposed them, but because truth has a way of exposing itself when the time is right. And what's being revealed isn't small. It's deeper than you thought, because this wasn't just about one moment, one mistake, or one misunderstanding. This was a pattern, a series of intentional actions designed to mislead, to manipulate, to control how others saw you and how you saw yourself. But that control is breaking now. You're starting to see clearly again. You're remembering who you were before the confusion, before the doubt, before the pressure, and more importantly, others are starting to see it too. That's the shift. Because divine justice doesn't just correct what was done to you, it reveals who was responsible. It separates truth from illusion. It brings everything into alignment, no matter how deeply it was buried. And the people involved, they can feel it, that quiet pressure, that uneasiness, that sense that something is changing, and they can't stop it. Because when truth begins to surface, there's no strategy left to hide behind. No more control over the narrative, no more ability to manipulate perception. everything becomes visible, and the weight of their actions starts to return. Not out of revenge, but out of balance, because what was done intentionally carries intentional consequences. You didn't have to chase justice. You didn't have to fight to prove your innocence in every moment. Even when you felt unheard, unseen, misunderstood, something greater was already moving on your behalf. Now you're witnessing it, piece by piece, moment by moment, truth unfolding in ways that can't be reversed. And as it continues, one reality is becoming undeniable. Nothing they did stayed hidden. Nothing they said disappeared. Nothing they planned went unrecorded. And now, everything is coming back around, because silence was never permission. It was preparation. And what's happening next is not random, it's not coincidence, and it's definitely not avoidable. It's the beginning of something they never thought they would have to face. Justice is no longer delayed. It's here, and it's confronting everything they tried to hide. What once felt like silence is now turning into undeniable movement. The same situations that looked stagnant are shifting. The same people who stood confidently in deception are beginning to lose their footing. Not by accident, not by chance, but because truth has finally stepped into the room. And when truth arrives, everything false starts to collapse. You're witnessing something powerful right now. What they built in secret, the narratives, the lies, the carefully constructed image, it's all being tested, and it can't withstand the weight of reality anymore. The cracks are no longer small, they are visible, obvious, unavoidable. Because justice doesn't just appear, it exposes. It pulls hidden things into the light. It reveals intentions that were buried beneath smiles and false loyalty. It forces accountability in ways that can't be escaped or explained away. And for those who thought they had control over how things would end, this is the moment where that illusion breaks. They're being seen now, not the version they showed the world, but who they really are behind it. The manipulation, the betrayal, the quiet schemes that were designed to tear you down, all of it is surfacing, and the weight of that exposure, it's something they can't outrun, because when actions are intentional, consequences are too. This isn't about revenge. It's not about you getting even, or watching someone suffer. It's deeper than that. It's about alignment. It's about restoring what was distorted. It's about bringing balance to something that was pushed out of place. And balance demands accountability. The same energy they sent toward you, the confusion, the pressure, the harm, it doesn't just disappear. It returns, not randomly, not unfairly, but precisely, in ways that reflect exactly what was done, exactly how it was done, and exactly why it was done. That's why things are unfolding the way they are now. You may notice it in subtle ways. First, their words not carrying the same weight anymore, their influence weakening, people beginning to question them instead of you, situations turning against them, without you even being involved. That's not coincidence, that's consequence. Because when someone tries to destroy something that was protected, they don't just face resistance in the moment. They face repercussions over time. And those repercussions, they don't need your help to arrive. They come on their own. And as this continues, something even more significant is happening. Your name is being cleared. Not through force, not through argument, but through revelation. The truth is speaking for itself now. The same people who once doubted you are starting to see differently. The narrative is shifting, and the ones who tried to control that narrative are losing that control completely. This is the part they never prepared for. And because they thought if they worked quietly enough, carefully enough, they could shape the outcome. They believed they could bury the truth so deeply that it would never resurface. But what they didn't realize is that truth isn't something you can contain forever. It rises. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission. Now they're facing something they can't manipulate. Situations that don't respond to their usual tactics. A reality where their actions are catching up to them in ways they can't predict or prevent. And that reality is heavy because accountability strips away illusion. It forces reflection. It brings everything back to the surface. Every choice, every intention, every moment they thought would go unnoticed. And once that process begins, it doesn't stop halfway. It completes itself. You didn't have to force this moment. You didn't have to chase it. Even when it felt like nothing was happening, everything was aligning beneath the surface. And now, what was hidden is visible. What was denied is undeniable. What was delayed is finally here. Justice has found its way, and as powerful as this moment is, as intense as this shift feels, there's something even greater unfolding beyond it. Because this isn't just about what they're facing, it's about what's opening for you next. After everything they did, you didn't fall. You rose into something stronger than they ever imagined. Take a moment and feel that truth. Not just hear it, feel it, because you are still here. After the confusion, after the betrayal, after the silent battles that drained you in ways no one could fully understand, you're still standing, and not just standing, you're awakening. What tried to break you ended up revealing you. You've changed, you can feel it. The way you see people, the way you move, the way you trust your instincts now, it's different. There's a deeper awareness inside you, a sharper sense of discernment. You're no longer as easily shaken, no longer as easily misled. That version of you they tried to destroy, it evolved. And that evolution is your power. Because you didn't just survive randomly. You survived intentionally. There is purpose woven into your endurance. Every moment you thought you were losing, you were actually being shaped. Every tear, every sleepless night, every time you questioned what was happening. It was all part of a process that was building something unshakable inside you. Strength that can't be faked, clarity that can't be taken, peace that can't be manipulated. You're stepping into a new chapter now, and it won't look like your past. It won't feel like those cycles you were stuck in, because you're not the same person anymore. The things that once held you back don't have the same grip. The people who once had access to you don't have that access anymore. You've outgrown what tried to contain you, and now you're being elevated. Not in a loud, forced way, not in a way that seeks validation or approval, but in a quiet, undeniable rise. Opportunities will start aligning differently. Connections will feel more genuine. Doors that once stayed closed will begin to open. Not because you forced them, but because you're finally in alignment with where you're meant to be. This is what it looks like when everything starts working for you instead of against you. But don't misunderstand it. This elevation didn't come easy. You earned this level of clarity. You earned this strength. You earned this new perspective through everything you endured. And that's why no one can take it from you now. It's yours. Built into you. Sealed through experience. And there's something else you need to recognize. You're not just rising for yourself. There are people who will cross your path, who need your story, your strength, your presence. People who are going through what you've already overcome, and your existence, your survival, becomes a light for them. A reminder that it's possible to come out stronger, wiser, and more grounded on the other side. That's purpose. Not something distant or unreachable, but something you're already walking in. So don't shrink yourself anymore. Don't question your worth anymore. Don't go back to places, people, or mindsets that no longer match who you've become. You've seen too much, you've grown too much. You've endured too much to return to anything that doesn't honor your value. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting what you feel. Keep standing in what you now know to be true. Because this chapter, it's different. This is the chapter where things begin to make sense, where peace replaces confusion, where clarity replaces doubt, where you finally start to see why everything had to happen the way it did. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. And now, you're ready. If this message reached you at the right time, don't ignore that feeling. Comment Amen to confirm what's already aligning in your life. Subscribe so you stay connected to messages that continue to strengthen your path. Like and share this with someone who needs to hear that their story isn't over. It's just beginning to turn. Because what's ahead of you is greater than anything you left behind.